this is Aoife Dean and this is the Happy Weight podcast. I hope at this point you've had an amazing Christmas so far. I hope you've had some nice moments with food. Maybe if you're listening to this podcast, you're still in the growth phase where I'm sure not everything was perfect, but who cares about perfect? We don't even need perfect. I think a really good thing to think about with our weight and our eating, so we don't get hopeless, is that we only want to bring down, our average calorie intake. So basically, when we're stuck in a weight and eating issues, we can really have a black and white mindset. We can really have the mindset that there are either good days or bad days, and you are either losing weight or gaining weight. And it's not that stark. So say in a 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, 1 year period of time, it's that if your average amount of calories that you're taking in on a day-to-day basis is in any way lower than it used to be, your body will be lighter. So it's really important to remember that at no stage of progress towards your ideal weight do you need a perfect day. You just don't need it. And all the little wins are big wins. I always think it's pretty much like that Tesco slogan of every little bit helps. It actually really does. You leaving 1 spoon of mashed potato on your plate because really 3 spoons ago you realised the moment is over with this, or you're full, or it's not as nice, or whatever it might be. That matters. All of those things, because eating and weight issues come with that black and white mindset of, well, it's a bad day now, so I might as well eat everything. You taking note of, I leave that last bite, or I won't eat those last 2 Pringles in the tub, or all of those teeny tiny things that you're leaving behind actually count up to be a lot of calories versus someone in the black and white mindset. And I don't know why I feel like saying this too, but another important thing that I had to remember is that if I was plonked on a desert island with no food for 30 days, would my body be slimmer? Would I be lighter? And then even in my craziest moods, I had to admit, yes, 30 days with no food would make me lighter. So therefore, going from that, I'm saying that my body responds to less calories. So there's no biological block with me. It's not like it's impossible for me to be lighter. Like I said, if I was on a desert island for 30 days with no food, I would be lighter. And that somehow helped me to remember that, okay, well, if a lot of calories less means a lot of weight less, well, then my little calorie differences do matter now. I can't eat less food and stay the same weight. That's absolutely not possible. So, because sometimes our thoughts get the better of us, and sometimes our mind is kind of like, yeah, well, it's different for you. You're just stuck. And yeah, it's different for you. This is your destiny. Who are you kidding? You're always going to be this weight. And that's where we really have to bring in maths and science, and that you, for 30 days on a desert island with no food, you would be lighter. Your body does respond to calorie intake. Anyway, I hope your Christmas has been going good so far. And you're still probably on holidays. You're still probably, it's still kind of holiday-ish time, and people are still off work and kids aren't gone back to school yet. So you're still in the thick of it, basically. It's a really good opportunity to center yourself on internal cues versus external cues. So children under 7 are the least likely to have weight problems because their eating is guided mainly by internal cues. So that means how stuff tastes, how they're feeling, etc. External cues are, is it the 30th of December? Is it a Saturday or is it a Tuesday? Are you, in a different location, or are you at home? They're all things that could basically give people a justification to eat in a way that might not suit their body. So they might be like, oh, but sure, it's Friday night. Oh, but sure, it's Christmas. Oh, but sure, it's this. Oh, but sure, it's that. And I suppose worst case scenario, when we've eating and weight issues, we could be like, oh, but sure, I'm in a bad phase. Obviously, I'm in a bad phase. It's Christmas and like this big whole phase. And like your body doesn't know what you're talking about with phases. Your body is only ever in a moment. Your body is currently in a moment of, cell division, repair, growth, change. Your body is always in a moment and always moving forward. And so it's a good reminder now to just snap out of it. If you've been telling yourself in a phase, you're not in a phase. Like you could drink a cold pint of water now and instantly feel a little bit physically better. Like you don't have to settle for being in a phase. You don't need to wait till midnight comes or until you wake up tomorrow morning in order to do a little thing that would make you feel physically or mentally better. Stop the waiting basically, because sometimes when we are in a bad phase, we're like, oh, I just need to go back to work, or I just need to submit this project, or the kids just need to do this, and it's like, no, like I said, it's like something like a pint of water could make you feel better. Something like a 10-minute walk could make you feel better. Something like a shower and a pamper session could make you feel better. Something like a lie down could make you feel better. Something like actually getting back to your one and telling her, no, you can't do it, could make you feel better. So whenever you catch yourself saying, I'm in a phase, realize you're settling. Like, how uncomfortable are you? Because I think that's the whole thing with eating and weight issues. We settle for discomfort. And sometimes we're so used to not feeling great, either mentally or physically. A lot of the time, we don't even notice we're not feeling mentally or physically great. So if you're listening to this, it's a great opportunity to just check in with yourself. Like, how are you feeling mentally and emotionally? Like, do you need a break? Do you need someone to mind the kids? Do you need to head off on your own? Or do you need to actually schedule stuff with girlfriends or sisters? Or do you need to schedule some crack or chat? And then physically, like, where are you in this point in time physically? How is your body feeling? What do you think it needs more of in the next hour? What does it need less of? Like, for how you're feeling now, how could you feel incrementally better in the next 20 minutes? Do you know? Or in the next hour, or even by the end of the day. So this is such a test, right? Because say if you listen to my advice on this one, how today goes could be wildly different than how it would have gone. So we can really, in our old way of doing things, like I said, we can be really used to feeling subpar mentally and physically. And we can be really used to just settling and getting on with it. And, usual worst case scenario with our body and stuff, we can be like, yeah, we're feeling manky. Yeah, we're definitely feeling overfed. We haven't had any hunger in days. And without hunger, if we've no hunger, we've no food enjoyment, because hunger is the best sauce. Hunger is what makes food taste delicious. Hunger is what makes us feel satisfied and done. So if we've just been staying topped up the last few days, just like snacking and picking and sitting down to another meal and never really going hungry, well, food enjoyment is dropping, and it's dropping fast. So, like I say, a day like today where you don't even notice it, but you're telling yourself you're in a bad phase and you continue with a bad phase, like you could feel really mank by this evening. But you jumping in now and realising you've every option. You've got all the power. And, like Eckhart Tolle says, the point of power is always now. This is when you're powerful. And that's why in disordered eating, we always feel unpowerful, is that a word? Or not powerful, because we're always stuck in the past. We're always like, why did I eat that much? I promised myself I wouldn't eat myself. I promised myself I would do better. I promised myself this. And it's like, you're not powerful in the past. The past has already happened, but the future and the present is absolutely all for the taking. Like, you can be whatever person you want to be with food today. And like, this is the class thing. Once you realize that weight problems are all your mind, But your body is a completely different kettle of fish than your mind, because your mind could make you feel guilty, shameful, remorseful for maybe a week. You know, it could be 7 days after 2 days or 4 days or whatever, where you ate loads and loads and loads, and your mind is still not letting you off the hook. Your mind is like, I think you should be ashamed of yourself. I think you promised yourself you would do better and you didn't do better. And there you are acting the same way you always did and blah, 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 blah. And we're not powerful because we're in a story about the past and we can't do anything about the past. And I think one of the biggest misunderstandings is like I would have thought in my disordered eating days anyway, oh, a slim person wouldn't have eaten like that 4 days ago. No, a slim person very well could have eaten exactly the same amount as I did 4 days ago. The only difference is a slim person is not 1 day or 4 days later still thinking about it. A slim person is not 1 day or 4 days later giving out to themselves. A slim person is not 1 day or 4 days later saying things like, oh, no one eats like that. Yes, they do. Like, you know, whatever you ate, don't make yourself so special to think that no one ate like that. Yeah, they did. Thousands of people across the country ate probably exactly what you ate or more. So it's not significant. It's not special. It's not separate. Like, we're normal and we have to start seeing ourselves as normal. And the thing that's broken, the thing that needs work on is our reaction. Because like I said, everyone overeats from time to time. But your reaction to overeating is what gives you a weight problem. Because, you know, it's back to the judgment again. Like, the more I work in this, the more I see everything as judgment, right? Because someone who doesn't really judge their eating harshly at all, and they don't judge foods harshly at all, when they're feeling discomfort, they can bow out at any time. So it doesn't matter whether they've spent the whole day eating kiwis and fruit or if they've spent the whole day eating chocolate. Like, at whatever point they feel discomfort physically, they will bow out, you know, because they're not making it into this heavy, big burden of shame and carrying this cross of disappointment. They're not doing that. So they're not clocking whether the food was part of a good category or a bad category. They're just feeling their way through the day with food. And like I said, at the point where their taste buds drop with anything they're eating, or their belly stops feeling nice with anything that they're eating, they bow out. No big deal. All that food is going to be there later, you know, and they would never think of saying stuff like, oh, I'll never eat chocolate again. I won't eat chocolate for the week. They don't need to say anything like that because they don't need to do any penance because they haven't done anything wrong. Whereas someone who judges their eating a lot and judges their food a lot will be like, I've already failed because my breakfast was bad, because my snacks were bad, because I said I'd go for a walk yesterday and I didn't. I've already failed. And what do we do when we think we've failed, when we think we're a disappointment? We punish ourselves. And what is the biggest punishment to someone with eating and weight issues? Is not letting ourselves move forward, is not letting ourselves lose weight. So punishment is how we stop ourselves from losing weight. Like, we think, I have to punish myself. I have to give out to myself for what I ate yesterday. And it's like, okay, you can keep doing that. But it's kind of a little bit back to, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Because you could be like, it is wrong to eat those foods and it is wrong to eat that amount of foods and I need to be punished. I need to give out to myself for eating that amount of food. And it's like, okay, you can be hell-bent on that. That's no problem. But by the way, in your quest to be hell-bent for giving out to yourself for eating bad foods or a bad amount of foods, you're keeping up weight. Is that okay with you? You're keeping up a weight problem. So you being hell-bent punishing yourself is more important to you than being a lighter weight, because you can't do both. You can't be someone with a great relationship with themselves and with their body and with food and then have this like toxic negativity going on. And sometimes, especially when I'm starting with clients, when clients are in like week 1 or week 2, they think I'm being lenient. You know, when I'm asking them like, oh, what food would you want? You know, or what food would you like? You know, I know part of them thinks that I'm not as serious about weight loss as diets. I'm more serious about weight loss than dieting. I'm way more serious about weight loss than any diet, because with diets, you are going to come off them and you are going to overeat. To be a slim person, we have to have conquered overeating. And we can't conquer overeating by giving out to ourselves, resisting foods or calling foods bad. We can't. As long as we're resisting foods, as long as we're judging foods heavily, we are so prone to overeating. Because like I said, the people who judge foods the most actually overeat the most. And yeah, I always use this example, but you know, I had a client who was morbidly obese and she really judged even the simplest things. And it just really stuck out in me, for me, I mean. And just when I'm working with clients now, I can feel that fear starting off. I can feel that judgment and just realize that being willing to judge is a huge block for you. And like I said, your point of power is today. So you get to do a 180 on what you've already done, or what you've always done, I mean. So say, for instance, like you really think your eating over the last weeks was not good enough. Like you really believe that. And you really think that you could line up 100 nutritionists and they would agree with you that your eating is terrible. Well, I'm here to say, so what? And what now? Like, where are you going now? What's next? Like, you know, you get to completely change. Like, today is the hard part. Like I said, if you're feeling a lot of guilt, judgment, shame, you've a huge opportunity today, because like we keep up weight by everything we eat after the point that we say we've messed up. So when we're in that mode or that feeling like, oh, I've messed up, our eating is a little bit careless and unconscious from that point on. We're kind of just going through the motions, but ultimately we're waiting for something to change, so we'll go back into a good phase. But meanwhile, while we're waiting for something to change before we go back into a good phase, we're not having a good relationship with food. We're just eating whatever. So like basically we keep up the weight by those days where we're in remorse, we're in regret, we're at the end of a bad phase. And so like, say if there's 4 of those days every 2 weeks, or 4 of those days every week over the course of a year, that's a lot more weight than we would have without it. So you have such a prime opportunity today. You have an opportunity to fully wipe the slate clean. Like 100% forgiveness. Like, not even forgiveness is too strong a word, because you didn't do anything wrong. And by the way, you get to win if you learned anything from the last few weeks of Christmas. If there was anything you learned, you know, especially say from your belly, right? You know, because we can be gung-ho about, oh, my body's trying to make me fat. But actually, think of all the times your belly said it was too full. Think of all the times your belly was not hungry and you ate a meal anyway. Like, all of those times was your ideal body weight talking. Like, if we were to just listen to our stomach, we would become our ideal weight. But even those times, especially if you were mega uncomfortable, like, please use that as a sign that you are not designed for overeating. Like, physical discomfort, your stomach feeling discomfort, you feeling mank or heavy or not nice in your body, that is your body saying, please stop making me do this. please stop overfeeding me. I do not have the architecture for this level of eating. Please stop. So translate all those times that you were overfull or you're uncomfortable as actually really good news, because till the day you die, your body is never going to stop fighting for you to become your ideal weight. And at any point, we can jump back on board and start being guided by our body and stop blocking it and let it go to its ideal weight. And so today, like I said, go back to 100% forgiveness. 100%. You did not do anything wrong. There are people around the country who are a slim weight, or they are getting slim and they ate as much as you over Christmas. Like, and don't you, hopefully, I think maybe you've listened to enough episodes or you've worked with me enough to know I'm certainly not a perfect citizen when it comes to eating, but I don't care. I don't need to be. I'm no longer a binge eater. I'm no longer 3 stone heavier. I'm doing okay. Like, I'm quite happy with how I'm getting along. But does that mean literally any day of my life would be like bloggable or a great, example of the perfect diet? Definitely not. But yet again, who cares? I feel very well on a day-to-day basis. And that's what we need to go looking for now. So it's, where are you going from here? Like, and basically, the bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity. If you're feeling really mank physically, well then cool, the clock starts now. What can you do or not do in the next 24 hours so that per 20 minutes of the next 24 hours, you feel incrementally better? So let's get going on that. It's all action. It's not thought. It's not rumination. It's action that's going to change your life and change your body. So what do you need to do there? If you've got a ton of guilt and shame and remorse and disappointment with yourself over what you've eaten the last few weeks, excellent. The worse it is, the better the opportunity, because the clock starts now. And how quick can you let that go? Because I really think this is where change is uncomfortable. I found that so uncomfortable to not give out to myself. Do you know, as in when one part of my brain was like, what do you mean you're not going to give out to yourself for that binge last night? I was like, because I'm not going to give out to myself for that binge last night, because I'm moving forward, because I'm becoming a person without a weight problem. That's why I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. I'm moving forward. I'm moving forward. What next? How will I feel well in 20 minutes? What's next? I'm not moving backwards. I'm not staying in the past. I'm not staying in rumination. I'm moving forward. But my head would have been like, no, you need to go back. You need to go back. You need to think about it again. You need to go over the calories. You need to actually think about the total calories of the whole day. Count up all the foods you ate. Count up how wrong it was, how bad it was. And, that's very scary, being like, my change is me not doing this. The brave move I'm making now to lose weight is to resist the temptation to do that, because that's the comfort zone. That's the comfort zone that's keeping us overweight, is the really feeling that strong need to dwell on the past and give out to ourselves about it. And now our ability to let go of weight will be our ability to let go of things in general. Like, let it go. Time is marching forward. Move on with it. And especially our body. Our body is so much sounder than our mind. Like, our body forgives and forgets and feels better really quickly. Like I said, if you took one action after this podcast that would incrementally make you feel better in the next 20 minutes or 1 hour's time, you'll notice that your body responds. Your body does respond to little kind actions. Whereas our mind is like, you're in the wrong and you're in the doghouse now for a while. You're staying there. There's no rectifying the situation. It's just bleak in our mind. So yeah, the worse your mind is today, the worse your body is feeling, the bigger the opportunity. It will be different shades and versions of doing this over and over and over again in your life is what will make you a different weight than what you used to be. Your ability to clock how you're feeling mentally and physically and do something about it immediately with no remorse, no judgment, no blame, just moving forward. That's what's really going to change everything for you. So yeah, there's a lot of blathering on with no breaks. So I hope it was helpful, and I hope you can go on to have the most pleasant, lovely, self-soothing, self-caring kind of day. Okay. All right. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks so much for listening.